Okay,
Awesome.
says we're live, so here we go.
All right, we'll go ahead and start with a prayer. Whose turn is it? Is it mine? I'll say it. I'll just say it.
You're in charge.
Yep. Our dear Father in heaven, we're grateful for this day. We're grateful that we can meet together as classmates and to go over some of the material and case study that we've been reading. We are grateful for Brother Roper and all that he does to organize us together as a class and to seek to give us instruction. We ask thee to please bless us, that we may gain insights from one another and perhaps things that we may not have understood before. Bless us that we will be open with our comments and that our minds may be expanded according to the effort that we have put into this. And we ask thee for thy spirit in our lives that we may be strengthened and uplifted. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
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 So then we just need to have a spiritual thought. If any of you guys have anything from your scripture reading from lately.
I don't know.
So I'll do it this time because I think Mackenzie did it last time. On my way to work every day, I decided, a few weeks ago, I decided I would listen to general conference talks on my way to work. I have about a 20-minute drive to work, so I can usually get through one talk or so on the way there. And I really was impressed by general conference this time. I think every talk was just absolutely amazing. And normally I'm just like, some speakers are good, but the rest are just kind of, boring. But I really appreciated the talks that were talking about the proclamation to the family and what we're supposed to be doing in this world where there's so much turmoil with same-sex marriage or as Elder Oaks kept saying, living cohabitation is the word that he kept using. I was listening to this talk this morning and I just was really impressed at, I graduated in 1995 and this is when the proclamation came out. And it was just really cool. President Hinckley was our prophet back then. And it just was really cool. One of the things that Elder Oaks was saying in this talk was he's one of the 7 remaining apostles who signed the proclamation. And he's like, let me just tell you how it came about. And he just was saying how they prayed and prayed and prayed to get the right verbiage, the right wording, the right everything to make the proclamation be as perfect as it could be. And I just thought it was really cool. If you think about it, that was 22 years ago that they wrote that. And now you see their prophecy coming true with how the world is changing and how, the world expects the church to change their views and change their policies. And I think it was just a really cool talk. I remember listening to it during conference and thinking, I'm so glad they're talking about this because as a mom of teenage kids, it's so important for them to understand, that's not cool. You know what I mean? And this is what we want to, we want to follow the prophet and do the things that will bring us happiness. And I just thought it was really interesting how he kept saying those who are worthy for the celestial kingdom will be the ones that are following this proclamation. And I don't know, it just has really stood out to me a whole lot, looking at the world today and looking at what people believe and think and how they expect the church to change their view. And he just very, very, strongly said, it's not going to change. This is what it is. And just went through the proclamation. I just thought it was cool. So anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can remember when, because I was born in 93, not to date you at all,
Yeah, you're making me feel really old.
Yeah. But I can remember as a kid reading through the proclamation as a family and thinking, why does that even say that? That doesn't even, what's the point? I don't see any real value, or not necessarily value maybe, but just doesn't make as much sense. But now it's oh, now I see why, because of how things are changing as a society. what's tolerated and what's not. So, yeah.
I think it's interesting. I have a friend, sorry, just one more thought that I thought about too. Is
Mhm.
I have a friend who just married a recent convert to the church, and he keeps asking her, what does a seer mean? And I'm a gospel doctrine teacher, and so next week or this coming week in our class, it talks about the prophets and being seers. And I saw this little snippet that just said they can see the past and the future. And it's interesting when you think about, any type of prophecy that a prophet has given. It's always been, in that day, but also fast forward how many years and you see it coming true that many more years ahead too. So something cool, I thought.
Yeah. All right. For the lesson this week, were you guys grasping, like, was it making sense, the idea behind convertible debt?
Kind of.
Because it's kind of complicated. It's kind of hard to understand. It's kind of confusing.
Yeah.
I know we had been talking about it just a little bit before we started recording and everything. Like with question 4, it's kind of difficult. I know one of the things that one I had said was about the Lexi raised an additional $300,000 at $250. Were you able to figure that out after you got that equation?
I haven't figured all the equations out yet. I had minimal time yesterday. I fed the missionaries and then.
Oh, no, I was asking Jill.
Oh yeah. So when you told me, yeah. So what Andrew was explaining to us, Mackenzie, is I was trying to figure out, like, how did he come up with his answer? And my problem is I was timesing that 250 by the 300,000. So that's what I was doing wrong.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So, and I can't remember where I got that formula from, but I have a formula that was talking about the pre-money and then divide that by the post-money. And that, I don't know. I just got way confused as to how that goes, but it makes sense how you explained it, Andrew, to take the $300,000 and divide it by the 250 per share. Mm-hmm. And then they then have 120 shares. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, I was able to figure that out. So.
Okay, good. Yeah. If you guys have any other questions, I'm okay. I'm pretty good at this stuff ish. I haven't figured them all out. I haven't put out all the tables yet, but if you guys do have questions, you can just let me know. So. Okay. And then down to the bottom few questions. How does the convertible debt affect Lexi's ownership share of her firm? So with that, convertible debt affecting her ownership, depending on how much, because there's going to be 2 rounds. There's going to be angel funding, which is the first round, which means that the person, Lexi, has no idea really how much her company is worth. But once people start investing in it, that's kind of what gives it its value. So, and her ownership in that depends on the first round and the second round. The second round of, like, say after they sell 120,000 shares at $250, which raised them $300,000, and she promised the initial angel investor a 10% discount. So her ownership just depends on that. It depends on how much the first round she raises and the second according to the first discounted rate, which can be calculated. So her ownership kind of depends on those 2 rounds.
Definitely.
So see, now I'm questioning the way I figured it out, but the way I figured it out, she would end up with like 29% ownership. And then the angel investor would end up with 71%.
Let's see.
I don't know if I did it right though.
No, that sounds right. That sounds right.
Right. But I'm not sure, like, now that I've talked to you, Andrew, before we started this meeting, now I need to go back and check to make sure that I did that right. My other question is like, okay, so in number 3, it says, assuming Lexi and the angel agreed on $1 per share in the seed round. What does the seed round mean?
The seed round is the initial initial round. So like when they're angel investors, I think it's the same thing as the angel round. It's the very initial funds that they ever receive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then if that's the case, then I think I'm pretty close to it'll be a 29-71 split.
Yeah, it looks right.
So
Sounds right.
So then how is the angels shares affected? I'm not sure exactly how they want us to answer that exactly. Are we talking actual specific calculations or just in general?
So I'm wondering if did you guys watch the video that was in the pre or whatever that first where we get this whole case? I watched that a couple of times, and I think that it was saying how, like, you know how down on his board he had all of the numbers written down. So he had like the convertible debt, and then he had, sorry, I'm looking at my notes.
That's okay.
But like down in the corner, like kind of in the middle of his board, he had the shares, and then he would say, okay, so 50% of the company gets 1.5 million, 18.5% gets this much. And I'm wondering if like, and then he said Hasselhoff gets 31% of the company. So I'm wondering if that's how we're supposed to do it, to be like, so let's say in this case, the next round, let's say Lexi only gets 18%. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just throwing out a number.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would divide out what the angel investor gets, and then what the potato, what's the place called? Potato
Rock, is it?
Potato Rock.
Yeah.
So that what portion would they get? And I'm wondering if that's what they're looking for is how does it affect her ownership, and then the angel share, and then the venture capital firm. So that's kind of how I see it, as like on his little thing that he was showing how you get the convertible debt.
Okay, so like the percentage.
Does that make sense?
Amount. So like the percentage and the amount.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like if they had 3 million, they were splitting up all 3 million and saying who gets what shares of the 3 million.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I'm assuming.
So then that would be based all off of a total of, let's see, of $350,000.
So that's what I'm figuring too, is like, is it $350,000, and then
wouldn't it be 351 because she puts 1,000 in?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because it's all adding up, right? As it goes across the. Hey, smart one. I forgot about the $1,000 too.
So taking those percentages, so that whatever percentages of that 351,000.
And then, oh gosh, the angel investor would get the 10% discount, so they would actually get more shares than the rest of them, right?
Yeah, they would get. Because it would be 50,000 times 0.9. No, wait, no. 50, maybe I typed that in wrong. No, I know it's 0.9. Or no, it's divided. That's what it is. So they would have 55,555 of shares. That's the way that he was figuring it out on the, because each share for them is worth, so they paid 90 cents for each share rather than, oh no, wait, because this would be 250. So 10% of 250.
So it'd be 225 per share. Oh, duh. Hello, that's what I put on my sheet.
Okay,
so they would be paying 225 a share.
Yep.
Instead of the 250 a share.
Mm-hmm. So then it would be oh wait, yeah. So then would it be 50,000 divided by 225.
Just kidding.
Or no, maybe it would still be 90 because it's 0.9. Because the 0.9 is percent, not actual dollars.
Right.
Right? So then it would still be 55,555.
Yeah.
Okay. Then yeah.
And then they would only pay 225 for those 555 shares, correct?
Yes.
See, Mackenzie, we're doing the work for you. Just kidding.
I'm still trying to figure this out.
It's way confusing. These questions are hard. And then one of my questions, one of the things I struggled with too is on number 1 where it says find out her price per share. How do you figure that out? Because it didn't tell us what her price per share was.
It was like 1 cent.
1 cent? So how do you figure that out?
Don't you just take the amount invested and divide it by the shares to get how much each share is worth?
Wait, which question is that?
The first one. 1A. So you say the total investment divided by the shares? Mackenzie?
Yeah, that's how I would figure it. So that would be what the shares are worth, right? Or what she paid for them anyway.
I'm trying to see where did she pay again? Like, where's it?
She paid, she put $1,000 into the company and gave herself 100,000 shares. So wouldn't you just divide them to get the shares? The cost per share?
So yeah, the money divided,
The money divided by the shares would get you the price per share.
That's true.
Wait, so she paid a penny per share?
Yeah.
To begin with.
To begin with, yeah.
So number 1, you would have your capitalization table would be she paid 1,000 for 100,000 share, or yeah, she started with 1,000, she paid 100,000 or got 100,000 shares for 1 cent a share.
Yes.
And then she would own 100% of the company, right?
Yeah.
Okay. At least we're all on the same page because we're all going to turn in the same type of thing. So.
Yeah.
So then for number 5, we would just need to figure out the convertible debt, right?
Well, because this is like a different scenario then, because then she wouldn't have that same. How does that convertible debt affect Lexi's ownership? Well, she would lose ownership, and it would drop down to the percentage of the amount that the others hadn't purchased.
Okay, so she started with 50,000 convertible debt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plus the other 1,000 that she's already invested.
Uh-huh. And then plus the other 300,000.
Because she raised 300,000 more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here, we'll do this together. 51,000 plus 300,000. 351,000. Yes, I'm using my calculator. I don't trust my brain this way. Yeah, well, I keep switching between mine too. Okay. So then what's the next step after that?
So then she would have, because she had initially issued 1,000 shares.
100,000 shares.
100,000 shares. Then let's see. So it was 55,555, right?
Yeah.
For the angel, yeah.
So that divided by 250. Because now it's actually going by what the actual value of theirs is. So they have 22,222 shares. And then they have the people who invested 300,000. They that was 120,000 shares, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wasn't that Lexi that raised that?
Oh, I guess so. So yeah,
So she would have 120,000 shares, right?
yeah. Well, so then, yeah, that would be the total number of shares then, wouldn't it? Would be 142,000.
Wow. Sorry, this math is making me crazy. So you're saying 100, the 120 plus the 222 or 222?
Yeah,
Is that where you're
22,222.
getting
So
that number?
then the total number of shares, I think, would be 142,222.
Awesome.
Oh, I just got an email from Victoria, or I mean a text. I guess she said her email was hacked.
Uh-oh.
That sucks.
Need another one?
Yeah, would you want to send it to Victoria IOPPI@hotmail.com? But I don't think she can open it still if it's not Gmail.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, can she? Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, see if you can send it to
Okay, IO what did you say?
IOPPI
Okay.
@hotmail.com.
This will be my third email address for her. Okay, tell her I just sent it to her.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so if Lexi owns 120 shares, that means that her Angel is going to own less. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. When it says, well, Lexi will raise an additional 300,000, I don't know if that's meaning that it would make sense that she's raising it from someone else, but it doesn't say who.
Yeah.
Company she owned.
Or is she raising it from the potato place? The potato.
Yeah.
What is that called again?
Potato Rock?
Yeah.
Yes,
Potato
because
Rock.
it says her angel investor and after future investors, Potato Rock.
Okay.
Unless it's saying of her angel investor and future investor, Potato Rock. Unless Potato Rock is the angel investor.
And the Potato Rock investor is the Series A investor, from what I understand from the reading. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so if she...
I think Series A is actually considered both the seed round and then the second. Let me see. Oh, no, yeah, you're right. The Series A is the second set of investors.
So then the angel investor is one, the Series A is the second investor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yep.
Potato Rock in this case. Yeah, is that right?
Yeah, so then angel and seed round, same name for the first round, and then the second is Series A.
Okay. So then will we have to come up with a group then, from what I understand from the assignment?
We have to what?
Is that so I'm just trying to understand from the assignment, then we have to just figure out what number 5 and number 6 should be.
Mm-hmm. How does a convertible debt affect Lexi's ownership share of her firm? Well, I think that the first question is just that it would decrease. I don't get why it says, how is the angel share affected? Well, it's the way it's affected is all three of them, as more people invest, each person has less. It's divided up separately. Because it doesn't say what is, like what it is, it says how.
Okay, so let me ask you this, and don't laugh at me when I ask you this question. Okay, so if we started out with 100,000 shares to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
then the angel investor comes in at 555. No, 5,500, 5,555. All the fives. Sorry, I'm not trying to be smart. I'm just trying to understand this so I know how to figure this out.
I think once it turns into her turning outward, that's why
she loses.
It doesn't. I don't think it has any, because what gives her company value is the people that put money into it.
So her shares don't matter. Is that right?
I think those are, they don't, it doesn't matter anymore. I think that was her. That doesn't, I'm confused, because from watching the video and what the guy was saying was that the people who fund her is what gives her value. So I don't know how she could, maybe it was, I think when she just gave herself 100,000 shares at like 50 cents a share, I think that's just her trying to say all of what she has invested into the company and all of her assets and everything. So I think that's for her, just to give information to the angel investors so that they have some sort of idea in what's going on with the company, and how, if they're ever, even if she was to go under, if she was going to be able to give them any money back.
So basically, she is just a beneficiary of it all, not really gaining anything, right?
Well, if she was to go under, she would first have to pay back the angel investor after dissolving what she could of assets, and then she would pay back the Series A, and then whatever she had left, if she had anything, then she would get to keep it.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Sort of. Yeah, so I'm just looking over the notes from the video that I took.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just trying to figure out, like, 10% discount. So I guess what we don't know is the post money. I guess that's what's confusing me, is like the beginning money and then the end money. Because I think if we knew that, or do we know that?
Well, yeah. So we know how much money it is. It's 351,000. That's the total money that she has.
Okay. And then the beginning was 50,000 then?
Yes. Yeah. So that was the angel investor that invested $50,000.
So then do you put her 1,000 in as the pre-money? Because you have the pre-money, the raise, and then the post money.
I would say so, yeah.
Mackenzie, what do you think?
I would think she would be the pre-money, and then the raise would be the money that was invested, the 50,000. So to get the post money, and then just keep adding.
But then I just noticed that it says that, so maybe I'm assuming all these questions are tied in together, because the angel investor, it says, assuming the angel investor in question 1B invests $50,000 at 50 cents per share.
But then in question 3, it says, assuming that they agreed on $1 per share in the seed round.
So yeah, then all these other questions. So like how Jill, you were saying earlier about how, wasn't there another question where it's like Jill invests, or Lexi invests. Well, I guess you can invest if you want.
I'll invest.
All right. So if she invests, how much, and this is how many shares she gave herself? Or is that that's not in the background, is it? That's probably one of the questions.
So this is how I understood the assignment, and you guys can tell me if I'm totally off. So 1A is one capitalization table. 1B is another capitalization table because they're different scenarios, right? Like we're trying to figure out. And then number 2 is a completely different capitalization table because you're trying to figure out what the best option is. Is that right?
Uh-huh.
So like at first, the angel investor, like in 1B, the angel investor only thought it was worth 50 cents per share. But Lexi thought that it should be like closer to $2 per share. So what I did is I created like 5 or 6 different tables that go with each one of these scenarios for each of the numbers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like 1A is one table for me, 1B is another table, 2 is another table, 3 is another table, and then 4 is the final table.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I'm seeing it. And so then what we had to decide was what is the best option for her based upon all the tables because of all the scenarios that she's thinking of. Is that right?
Yeah. When you were asking one of your questions before, I was assuming or thinking that it was based off of a different question. And that's what was kind of confusing me.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. That's yeah. Oh, Victoria.
She didn't get it?
Yeah, she's saying, what's your email? Can I send you one? But, yeah.
That's weird. Tell her mine is LEM13005@byui.edu. It's weird that her email's not working.
Yeah, I don't know. So then I was trying to go back to one of your other questions about how much she would have if she had 100,000 when she had bought them at 1 cent, was it?
Yeah.
Do you remember what your question was again about that?
Oh, yeah. So in number 1A,
Uh-huh.
it talked about just the initial founding of the company. So it said include the number of shares, price per share, total investment, and what percentage of the firm Lexi owned. But it didn't, in that initial founding paragraph, it didn't mention anything about price per share. And that's when Mackenzie had said, you take the total investment and divide it by the number of shares.
Oh, okay.
And that's how we got the 1 cent.
Okay. So then, did you have any other questions, or are we good to move on to 6?
I think we're good to move on to 6.
Okay.
If Mackenzie's okay to move on to 6.
That's well, when I look at question 5, it looks like it's not asking for as much of what, but or like how. So it's not asking for any actual tangible numbers, right?
Just how does it affect it?
Yeah. And then we could just talk about how it divides each of their portions by what they invested. Well, Victoria said she sent it.
Let me go look real quick.
At this point, I don't know, maybe she could just let Brother Roper know, and I feel like...
I wonder what's wrong with her email, because that's weird every week. It's been weird. Let's see.
And she can always like watch the class video afterwards, and she could email us her notes.
Yeah, I don't have any email from her. Nothing's come in yet. Okay, so let me ask you guys this. Sorry, and you guys can like totally kill me. So in the if she only gave $1,000, then she raised 50,000 from the angel investor, and then she raised another 300,000 from the Series A. Then that would put her at owning 0.002 of her company. It would put the angel investor at owning 14% of the company, and it would put Potato Rock at owning 85-ish% of her company.
Sounds right.
Does that make sense how I came about that? Because if we're taking the total money and dividing it by what each person put into or each portion put in.
And it would be, yeah, so it would be their what the company is worth versus how many shares of that they have.
Okay.
So if say, since the Potato Rock invested $300,000, they have 120,000 of those shares. They would have that. They would have that portion of share. They would have those shares versus how many total shares the company's worth.
So then how do we figure out the total amount of shares?
That's what I'm trying to remember. I think it might talk about it in the video.
Okay. Because I guess that's where I'm getting hung up, is the share portion, not the money portion. Like, how do you figure that out?
Yeah.
And you explained it good with the initial $300,000 at $250 per share. So then that helped us figure out what shares we had.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I'm struggling
sending
with
this
the
to her really
percentage.
quick.
What's
I'm just
that?
going to tell Victoria just to watch the video and then send her notes
Oh,
to
okay.
ask her brother Roper, and he'll probably understand.
Okay. Mackenzie, what were you going to say?
I struggle with like the percent of the company owned. Like that math's not making sense in my head. Everything else I kind of get, but the percentage, it's just not clicking.
Wait, say that one more time.
The percentage of the company owned is the part that's not making sense to me. Like the rest of it I kind of get, but the percentage, I'm just like, okay.
Oh, so wait. So it would be however many shares versus how much the total. Yeah, so like the people with 120,000 shares.
Let's
So
call them Potato Rock.
Yeah, let's call Potato Rock. So they own 120,000 shares, and the entire company is worth well, I guess it's at 250 a share. Let's see.
But do you count the discount on the $50,000 or the $50,000 that the angel investors spent?
You would incorporate it back into what they have. So it would just be they own that much, that amount.
Okay.
So like it would be 50,000 plus their discounted rate is what they actually own in the company.
Okay.
So 120,000 for Potato Rock, or it would be that divided by the 351,000.
Mm-hmm.
So they would own 34% of the company. Does that sound right? Something doesn't sound right from that.
I guess I'm getting confused because one is money and one is shares. So you're taking the shares and dividing it by the total money. Is that right?
I think. I'm like,
I think we're all getting frustrated.
Yeah.
So this is what the video originally said. Okay, so if the Snobulous, do you remember that the name? The Snobulous Capital, so they had pre-money of 1 million. They raised 2 million. And then their post money was 3 million. When they did the shares, I need to go back and watch this because in the raised money, it's saying 1.5 million was raised, and that they owned 50% of the company. So then, that's where it's getting confusing to me, is looking at their original way of finding out how to do this. $50K. So then the price per share was $1. $500,000 was their angel funder. See, that's what's confusing me. It's like, it's all like, I don't know, we're talking about, I guess, money and share, like the dollar amount, and the shares are money.
Uh-huh.
Is that right?
Yeah. So then it's, yeah, because that's what it makes sense in my mind to say, well, if I own this many shares and there's this many total shares, but I don't know what the total shares is. So then since I don't know that, I feel like it would make almost as much sense to say, well, this is how many shares I own in a company that's worth this much. Well, then would it be 300,000 divided by, or divide that by how much money the total, so like not even include the shares, but then it would have to be shares. Yeah, I don't know. I maybe I'll watch the video again and get it at that point.
If you divide the money, if you take the money and figure out the percentage with the money, the Potato Rock would own 85% of it, Angel would own 14%, and Lexi would own like 0.28%.
Yeah, she owns like nothing if you do it that way.
Yeah.
Which I feel like that's probably the most accurate. Wait, how did you find it again?
So like if you take the 351, so to figure Potato Rocks, you would take the distribution of 300,000 and divide it 51, and then it would give you 85, like 0.85.
And where's the 351 coming from?
So
the
total
51,000. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So you just,
so the total Lindsay put in, the total the Angel put in, and the total Potato Rock put
Gotcha.
in. Yeah. So then if you just take it solely by money, she owns nothing, hardly. I mean, she barely has a say in anything. They've kind of taken her over.
Which I think that you might be, I think you might be right on that, because I mean, when a company goes public, I mean, they usually lose a lot of what they used to own.
And then the companies who invested in them take over, right?
Yeah. You still get to make, you still make decisions, but then the real ownership is still those people who invested in it.
So then that would be our answer, what Mackenzie just explained then.
Yep, I think so.
Okay. Okay. You cool with that, Mackenzie?
Yeah.
I think it's unanimous.
I don't know if I'm right, but
all in favor? Aye. Just kidding.
All opposed?
Well, we'll see what Victoria says.
Yeah. All right, so.
But I think that's the best way I've been able to figure it out, to see, like, because it's, I don't know, it's too many numbers to figure it out.
I mean, the other way to do it would be to take the shares, the amount of shares that they own. Because then Potato Rock would be like 44%, and Angel would be around like 19%, and Lexi would have about 37%.
So how did you figure that out?
So if you take the total amount of shares, like how many shares combined between if Lexi has 100,000, Angel has the 50,000, whatever, and then Potato Rock has 120, together that's 270-ish. And then with the money, but do it
That makes
I don't
sense.
know if it's the
'Cause
shares, the
that's what I
money.
was thinking was I wasn't sure
the
that's what
money.
I was thinking was I wasn't sure if we were still saying that she had 100,000 shares.
Yeah. So like with her
Oh,
100,000
that
shares,
makes
she would
sense.
own a lot
I think
more.
that's right. I think you're right. Because that would make the most sense because I mean she decided to sell at 250 per share to Potato Rock. It would only make sense for her to have kept that 100,000 that she said it was like a penny, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like being the startup, she would get shares at a discounted rate. Like
Yeah, because she
just because
chooses
she's
how
starting.
much.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
All right, I'm gonna say that is right.
Okay.
For sure, for sure. I'm like this. I feel very confident in now.
Okay, so then to recap, then Lexi would own 37% from what Mackenzie said. The angel
Yeah.
investor would own 19% of the company.
If they're selling their shares at $1. So like if they sold the shares to the angel at $1, which was like question 3, which is just the final one that I went off of,
Okay.
they would own 19.
And then
Change that.
Potato Rock would have 44%.
There's at 250, 44% of the
Okay.
company.
I think that's right.
Dang.
I have an Excel sheet. I don't know how to do it like anywhere else.
So then if I'm understanding question 5 and 6 right, it's like, okay, so the convertible debt is one thing that we're talking about, which is what we discussed. Where she owns hardly anything of the company. But then number 6, which option should she choose for the seed round would be what you just said, is number 3. Right?
$1.
Because that's where, yeah, because that's where if she sells it at $1, then that's where she gets more of her company back versus only just like 0.02%. That's my baby. So
The babies are the best.
that's right. She's 11 though. She's not a baby anymore. Huh.
Yeah, because if she
She's
sells
12.
them at 50 cents a share, she's equal with Angel. Like they both have. If she sells them at $1, then she has more.
I like the number 3 option better, not to do the convertible debt one.
Mm-hmm.
Because she gets more money.
Yeah. So hold on, I can show you my thing. So
Look at you.
Fancy.
so these are the percentages for the shares, and this is the one for the cash. So if they change it to 50 cents, it changes them to match. And then if she sells it at $2, it gives her 41 and them 10. They're getting. Makes sense.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Option number 3, is that what we're deciding?
Yep.
Sweet. And are you guys
All right.
okay to meet on Thursday night still?
This Thursday might be more difficult for me.
Okay.
I was gonna see if there's any other time. I know you guys are really busy.
Does
as
Saturday
well.
work for you guys this time?
I can do Saturday, I think.
What's that? Saturday work for you, Andrew?
What time would you say?
I'm game for whatever.
Well, I wonder if you guys want to do, if you guys still want to do the meeting at this time. Let's see, because I'll be on the road for a while.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Then do you want to do what we're going to do with Victoria? We'll meet on Thursday night, and then you can give your opinions after.
yeah. If I'm gonna send an email to Brother Roper and ask him if that's okay. If
Okay.
not, I'll just see what I can do about just meeting with you guys again on Thursday. I'm just supposed to leave on a trip Thursday, like late afternoon. So, but if I can't get that approved with Brother Roper, then I'll just try and just do it with you guys normal time.
Are you going to be somewhere where you can have computer access at some point?
It'll be hard to say. It'd probably the best place. I'd have to like find a McDonald's or something. I don't know, because they have free Wi-Fi.
Nice.
So yeah. So I'll email Brother Roper and see what he says.
Or here's another option for you too. If you want to, and then send me your thoughts or whatever, we can discuss it in the group meeting, and then we can do it that way too.
Oh, that'd be good too. Okay.
So before you leave town, just send me an email, and then I can incorporate that into our meeting Thursday night. You want to do that?
Yeah, and then I could. Yeah, that'd be great.
Then you don't have to worry about. Are you okay with that, Mackenzie?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. I'll send an email to Brother Roper, and then I'll let you guys know.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Awesome. Thanks.
Hey, thanks for your guys' help tonight. I feel so much smarter.
Together we are smart.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
See you. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yep.